Okay, welcome. It is week 4, and we're going to get started here. I apologize for the early start. Again, my kind of schedule changed this week. I appreciate your patience. Um, Great job, everyone, for getting in your work for week 3, and you will be building upon your projects going forward in week 4, which is this final week. So we will be double checking all of your files to make sure that all of your color modes are converted properly, and also you have your files print ready and ready to go. And it's important to understand how to do this because, once you do get a job out there in the industry, you will be doing the same thing. And this is sometimes the part that is definitely maybe not gone over as much in the curriculum, but it's an important part of the process because it's not all about just kind of designing this, meaningful piece for your client, but you want to make sure that the quality of your piece for your client is professionally completed, so that there's nothing going on at the end of the process that's going to deteriorate the quality of your project. So, it's important to understand the terminology and how to go throughout the steps to get your files print ready. All right. As I stated, anytime that you guys have any questions, definitely email me, contact me, anything that you have concerns about. I'm here to help you guys. And this is, the final week. So, we're kind of closing it up as we go forward. Some things on the agenda for today's lecture is we're just going to go over some announcements. We're also going to talk about the principles of graphic design review, so the CRAP principles. We're going to talk about changing colors from spot to process colors. So if you're unclear about how to do that still, a little review is in order so you guys can go into your files and make sure that you're converting properly and where to look. So I do like a step-by-step demo. Preparing a document for print through packaging. So again, another important part of the process, especially if, there's times that even when you're not going to print, say if you have a project that you've been working on and then maybe another designer is taking over, or maybe you're sending it to another business or client, you're going to need to know how to package that project so that whomever that you're sending it to will be able to open up your files on their computer without having any linked image, unlinked images or missing images, or, maybe they don't have the typeface that you have used in your project. So when you package your file properly in InDesign, it should take all of what's in your file, all the fonts that you used, colors, color information, imagery, linked images, and place them in one folder so that you can hand it off to whomever and they can access it appropriately. Preparing a document for print through packaging. So we'll talk about that. Week 4 final assessment. Print ready files. We'll talk about your assignment, and then critique of student work. So there's a few things on the list here that we'll definitely go through in detail, but this is the last lecture for this week, so it's going to be, it's definitely going to be condensed here. And, I think that most of you guys are in a good position at this point with your work to spend a lot of time this week to make sure that your files are correctly converted, and just doing those small adjustments. I try to give you guys some feedback on your other pieces so that you can take advantage of this time and revise your work going forward. All right, don't forget that we have a week 4 discussion. This is kind of not new, but they just started implementing this, I guess, the beginning of the year, where we never really had a week 4 discussion. It was always just a reflection post, which we still have that as well, which is the career integration quiz. But the week 4 discussion is there. Again, you're using the Packback Learning Center So make sure you're getting that post in by Wednesday before midnight on, Mountain Time, the original post. And then also don't forget to respond to at least 2 peers. Everything pretty much stands as we did in the basic before we switched to this packback in regards to the specifications. Only, the process and how you post and what you're posting is a little different. So all late assignments and assessments are due by this Saturday before midnight Mountain Time. So make sure you're getting that in. And if it's over a week late, you will not get credit for it, just to let you guys know. That's the university policy for late work. If it's over a week late, it will not be accepted. So, if you still have week 3 work that you haven't turned in yet, by this Saturday, get that in, you'll have a 20% late deduction added to it. However, it all kind of adds up. So definitely get that in before Saturday as well. I cannot accept anything past that Saturday due date because, grades are due soon after. So I need to quickly get those in. I do have a number of you that submitted late work recently. So if you're wondering, I wonder if she got that. I do see a lot of submitted, either resubmitted or late submissions in the gradebook. I have been pretty busy this week. I'm actually moving in a couple days. So because of that, I have been a little slow on getting those graded, but I should definitely have those graded by tomorrow night. So, kind of hang in there and know that, I did receive it and it will be graded. All right, so don't wait till the last minute to upload. Usually those days come and everybody's trying to upload at the last minute, and you run into possible issues and you just don't have the time and you get locked out of your class by a certain time because, by midnight on Saturday, the classroom will lock you out. So make sure you're getting that in. Make sure you start the download early so that, you don't run into those problems. All right, any and all redos of previous assignments are due no later than Tuesday at 12 p.m. So if you, I guess if you're talking about week 3, I still will accept it by Saturday as well. But make sure maybe try to get that in by. Well, this says Tuesday and we're already at Wednesday, so you guys are past that. So kind of nix that. If you guys can get that in by Saturday by midnight, I'm fine with kind of evaluating your grade as long as it's a week 3 project and not a week 2. We should be good to go. So. Okay, I'm going to skip forward here. So the principles of graphic design, we talked about this in the beginning of this class because we were discussing it in the discussion and just doing a little review as well. But, it's always good to kind of get this, put into your brains over and over again because this is kind of the foundation of what we do. And you will constantly go back to this, hopefully, when you're designing. This will give you a wonderful, solid foundation in order to design effectively as a graphic designer. So contrast, and some of you guys had some issues with contrast, some of you didn't, but always kind of check your work and look at it and say, is there enough contrast here? And what I mean by that is everything readable? Are you able to see the logo? That's the most important part in your projects. If your logo is kind of there and it's hard to see because maybe it's on top of a really busy image and the image is at 100% transparency where you see the full image in color and the logo is really hard to see, then that's, that needs to be fixed. If you have a color block that's the similar hue to your logo and it's hard to see, that's a problem. You need to have more contrast. The contrast is kind of what makes things pop. And it doesn't mean that you have to have extreme contrast all the time, but that's kind of what draws your attention, and you see things very quickly and read things very quickly and notice things very quickly. And that's kind of what you want. You definitely want that in your projects, especially with the logo. You want to get that as soon as possible. You want to see that. You don't want to have to squint your eyes and try to figure out what's going on. So contrast is definitely important. Repetition, and again, we talked about this before. Use repeated elements to direct, organize, and structure. Did you use this part of the principles of graphic design in all of your pieces? Did you have a pattern or repeated elements within your pieces? So you might want to take a look at that. Is there something that you kept consistent on each one of your pieces that, you know, allows to, you know, organize the layout and the structure of your design? This also helps unify your pieces together. I mean, think about it. If it's a campaign piece you're designing, you want to make sure the viewer, when they see those individual pieces in other applications, they're not going to be side by side typically. They're going to be in other, you know, other resources that they're going to see in different times. You want to make sure that they know that that's coming from the same campaign. So unification and consistency of your elements repeating throughout your campaign is important for that, to keep that unity together. Alignment. This is another tricky principle of design that students may or may not know that they're, you know, needing to brush up on here. So alignment, and it's, you know, the devil is in the details, I always like to say. Zoom into your work. If you have a lot of things going on, make sure you're, you know, using your guides and, you know, you're making it perfectly aligned within your layout. So line up elements to create visual structure. A lot of the times designers use different grid systems to do so. Grid systems are great because they allow you to organize the information. Everything's aligned. It's easy to follow, easy to read. And it looks professional and organized. There's, you know, you don't always use a grid. There's reasons why you wouldn't, depending on the project that you're working on and what you're trying to convey, communicate visually. But alignment is definitely key to a successful layout. And then proximity, clump together related elements so that their spatial relationships organize and emphasize. You know, and this is, I kind of gave you guys some feedback. Some of you guys had, some of your ads were kind of running together. What I mean by that is there's no real structures, no spaces in between each section. Maybe everything ran together equally, and, you know, it wasn't as easy to see what belonged to what, and it wasn't easy to follow. So when you group sections within your layout together that belong together, it allows them to be viewed easier and allows the viewer to look at it and say, okay, this is where I go. This is where my eye goes first, second, third, instead of like trying to figure out where to start, where to look at first, and everything running together. So proximity is really important, and hierarchy really kind of helps with that. Hierarchy is when you're emphasizing certain parts of your elements so that the viewer knows where to look at first. What's the most important thing that you want the viewer to see first? Make that the most emphasized, and then go down from there. You know, what's secondary? What's the third thing that you want them to see? And then, you know, kind of make your elements smaller or less emphasized based on that order. That way you have a nice pathway for your viewer to kind of know, okay, this is where I look. This is where I go next. This is where I'm going to, and sometimes it's even, you know, people read left to right. So maybe it's just ordering your elements in that structure in that way. A lot of the times a good way to organize your elements based on what you're doing is maybe in a circular fashion on your layout. And, you know, this depends on all of what you're doing in terms of your elements that you have going on. But what I mean by that is starting on the upper left and then kind of either going down and around in a counterclockwise or clockwise visual way, you know, pathway. So your elements are kind of in a circle pattern, maybe not so literal, but that's kind of where they're aligned. That's always a good way to design sometimes, to get the full effect of you know, the viewer being able to see everything very easily. Okay, so you know, just think about those things. The principles of design are very important, and those are just a few that you want to kind of reflect upon when you're looking at your work. Make sure you have those principles in play, and successfully creating those principles in your layouts. All right, moving on, graphic design tips and tricks. So just a few things here. Fonts, you know, think about how many fonts that you're using. Limit the number of fonts on your page. When you have too many different fonts going on, especially if they're stylized or decorative fonts, you have an immediate disconnect and confusion, because there's just so much going on. It's just it's not coming together. It's almost like if you think about putting on an outfit and you have a lot of accessories that are just different styles, and it just doesn't go together and doesn't look very good. So think about it in that regards. Okay, so keep it simple, you know, stupid. Keep it simple can be beautiful. You know, you guys embrace the white space. This is one of the hardest things for designers, and especially young designers and students to embrace. And believe me, I've been there. You know, I've been there, and sometimes it takes experience to know what it is to really keep it simple. So you just have to keep editing down your work. And what I mean by that is editing out anything that is not necessary. Maybe you're over designing. Maybe you're adding flourishes in there that, you know, you really don't need, and you're kind of overcompensating. But keep it simple. You know, simple is beautiful. Colors, limit your colors. Again, just like fonts. The more colors you have in there, the more disconnect that you'll have, depending on the project. Now, if you're working on, you know, maybe a project that involves children and it needs to be colorful, then yeah, then obviously, you know, you want to go for that if that's appropriate for that project. But the colors should be limited. You want to keep it simple so that there isn't so much going on that's overwhelming to the viewer and to the eye. Pick a color scheme. You know, just like when you're decorating for your house, you want to make sure that your bedroom or your kitchen is all, you know, has a theme to it. Maybe you go to Pinterest and figure out what that theme is. You know, maybe it's, you know, gray walls with a pop of color, whatever kind of works for you. But if you have all these different colors, maybe you're bohemian style, and that's fine. But, you know, typically you want to keep it to a minimum, because you don't want people walk in and be like, whoa, what's going on here? My eyes are going everywhere. So just like in a layout, you want to kind of limit your colors. You want to pick a color scheme. You want to set the mood. And sometimes that color scheme comes from the actual brand. So if you're designing a campaign and you have, you know, like you guys started out with a logo and you created your colors, your final colors in your logo, your brand colors, you're going to want to stick with those colors if you're using different elements. Photography is a little different. You want to set the mood with photography. So color choices there, you know, could be a little different. But, you know, with any type of coloring in your type treatment, or your elements, you know, say you're adding in a color bar or any other icons in there, you want to keep that consistent and with your brand colors. Stand out. Make your designs unique, distinct, and easily recognizable. Think Nike, Apple, Volkswagen, simple and recognizable. So I think that's, again, just experience will definitely help that as far as keeping it simple and recognizable. So just be inspired by what you see. And those are very, very established brands that are listed there. But we can all learn from them. You know, what makes them work? Why are they so recognizable? Because they've had, you know, they've been in the and they've been established for so long, and they have really successful marketing. They're simple, yet memorable in terms of their brand and how they portray themselves. So, you know, just kind of be inspired by other brands that are successful and learn from them. Okay, so we're going to get into this. I'm actually going to take a quick 5-minute break here because I have to run um, to get something here real quick. So I'm going to take a 5-minute break, and then we'll go on with how to convert your color spot to process. So I'll kind of go through those steps. I think this is a good stopping point in order to do so. So give me 5 minutes, and I'll be going on with the lecture. Okay. Looks like our 5 minutes is up here. All right, so let's take a look at the process of converting from spot to process colors. So make sure that you are double checking your documents before saving them out for this week. Um, Take a look at this visual here. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so I can see it a little bit too. I'm actually on my MacBook and I'm used to being on my iMac, so my screen is definitely smaller here. Okay, so my document currently has two spot colors, green and purple. You can see that on the artboard, green and purple. If you go to your swatch panel under window, if you don't have that up on your artboard, you can have the swatches being shown there. And check out your colors that you're using within your logo and your project altogether. You should be seeing two spot colors. As you see there, it's called spot colors in that layer file in swatches. So you'll see them displayed there. So take a look, zoom in, take a look at how visually it's showing you that it's a spot color. Not only is it saying it in the folder, but on the right side on the icon, you'll see a little circle in a square. And that's different than if you look above there in the CMYK colors in the layer, you'll see how different it's showing there. It's just a square, an empty square. So that's how you would kind of identify that you have spot colors, which is good. You wanted to start out that way with your two logo color schemes in the beginning of the class. However, at some point you needed to convert these, so this is how you would do so. So what you're going to do is in that swatch panel, select both of the swatches in the swatch window. So you can do a shift select. And then select swatch options under the symbol, under that little lines on the upper right hand corner, in the upper right hand corner of the swatches window. So you'll see the little swatch options once you click down on that, the line option on the top. So swatch options. Then you're going to change spot to process in the drop down. So you can see on the visual before, it's set to color type spot. So you want to click down and choose process. So that's the how to convert that from a spot to a process, and hit OK. Notice in the swatches that the dots, remember the dots in the square, have been removed from the colors. Before, there's a before image with the dot in there, and then the after. So it'll still say spot colors in the folder if you saved it that way in a folder. So there, that won't change unless you change it, but you'll know visually if the colors were converted by looking at the icon, and if it doesn't have a dot in it, you know that it's a process color. Okay, so how to check before creating a PDF. So say you're not quite sure still and you want to make sure everything's all in check. You'll go to the window menu bar and go to window. Then you'll go to output, and then you'll go to separations preview. And you'll always check before making a PDF file for final press output. So you want to make sure that the separations are listed either with spot colors before you convert it for print, and then without. So you can see the differences there. You can see the view. You can see all the listed spot colors. And that green spot and purple spot are added to that. But whenever you convert them, and it's converted properly, if you're converting that spot to process, you should be seeing the right panel instead of the left, how that's shown in there. If there's spot colors in there on the right, after you thought you converted it, you might want to go back and try it again. Maybe you missed something, so you need to kind of find out what needs to be converted. If you actually have spot colors, this is outside when you're working in the real world and somebody actually wants you to do, say, 2 different spot colors with your CMYK file, and that's okay. You don't have to convert it then. You just have to let the printer know that you do have spot colors in there, and identify them for the printer when you go to print, so that they know that they have to actually go through that process to be pre-mixed ink. Preparing a document for print. So check the following 5 items. Spell check. Sometimes that's like one of the most common sense things that we do think about, maybe not think about, but know we should have done, and maybe we didn't because, we just didn't have time, or we just didn't think about it at the time. Spell check. That could really get you out of a lot of trouble, especially with clients. So, and your work. So make sure you're spell checking, especially as a student. You want to make sure that you're paying attention to all the details. You want to check the colors. Is everything that needs to be converted? Are the colors set to what they need to be? If you need spot colors in there, are they properly set? Check for missing links. And I'll show you that in a second here, how to do that, because I open up my file on this computer and it's showing my missing links because I did not create the original InDesign file on this computer. So it's telling me, hey, I'm not sure where to link my image here. Help me out. So I'll show you how to do that real quick. Check for missing fonts. Maybe you have an error message in your InDesign file when you go to save out, and it's telling you, you have some missing fonts. If you're packaging your file, you shouldn't have any problems as long as you're hitting the fonts check or the typeface check mark, that you include all fonts in your package folder. But make sure you're checking for any missing fonts. Check all bleeds and marks. Make sure that they're all set properly as well. And so yeah, just spell check. Always spell check before saving. Make sure all mixed colors are CMYK, including colors from imported files. Identify and remove all unnecessary colors from the swatches panel. Delete unnecessary swatches. Add unnamed colors to the swatch panel using the swatch contextual menu. Spot colors should be converted to CMYK. Spot colors are identified as spot colors with a dot inside it. Now that's if you are only strictly printing to CMYK, CMYK mode. But there might be some instances where a client will want you to use the logo that they're giving you or that you created, and there's a spot color in there, and they want you to keep that as well as print in CMYK with the other materials. So just know that there, sometimes there's those instances. Preparing a document for print. Links. So again, links. Look at images specs from the links panel, and I'll show you that in a second. Make sure images are CMYK mode. To change the mode from RGB to CMYK, you would need to do this in Photoshop. All Photoshop images should be 300 pixels per inch, an actual printed size. Effective pixels per inch as shown in the links panel should be at least 300, but not much bigger. Photoshop images should be saved out as a TIFF, PSD, or JPEG. Try to eliminate layers from your TIFF file. Use LZW compression to make the file size smaller. Only use PSD when necessary, transparencies, technical blends, mask, etc. And again, fonts. Make sure all fonts are free of any problems in the find font box. Convert treble fonts to outlines. We will do a demo of this. Bleeds and marks. Make sure any item that needs to bleed off the page extends 0.125 off the document. Extends. When exporting as PDF, make sure bleeds are set to at least 1/8 in the marks and bleeds section after clicking save. When exporting as a PDF, make sure all printer marks are selected and do not use the default document settings. Definitely some good information here. Preparing your document for print. And then what you'll do is package the InDesign file and zip it. So make sure your document is saved, then go to File, Package. And I showed how to do this before in the other lecture. This creates a new folder where a copy of your InDesign file is placed along with your folder containing your fonts, another folder containing your links. We will do a demo of this as well. Create a PDF and place it in your packaged folder. Do this in InDesign by going to File and Export. Make sure the preset is on Press Settings, and make sure your printer marks are selected and the bleeds are set to 1/8 inch minimum. And then you're going to zip the packaged folder, which also contains your PDF, by selecting the folder in the Finder and go to File, Compress File Name. This creates a file with the same name as your folder, but with a zip extension. This is the file you will upload into Canvas for the assignment. It is also what you will save to printers via email when sending a job to the press. So, very important process. Make sure you're going through that accurately and, kind of paying attention to all those details. All right, before we get into the assessment, I wanted to take a look here. So if you guys have any questions about any of this, let me know. It's a lot of information for sure, but I mean, like I said, if you run into any issues, just kind of reach out to me and hopefully I can point you in the right direction. All right, let's go into Canvas here. It's a little hard to see. I'm going to click on the discussion for week 4 here. Take a look at that before we get into the project details. Let me make this a little bigger. Okay, so this is your last discussion, and we are going to be discussing, some of you guys started this, you're going to be identifying and determining the appropriate use of lossy and lossless compression. So what you'll need to do is just read through this background, watch this short little video, and I'm not going to kind of read over that for you guys. You guys can do that, but I will read the prompt. This is what you have to do for your actual discussion this week. So the internet is full of images that are crisp and clear. There are also some sites that contain images that are not designed well. As you watch the video above and search the internet, think about when a lossy image might be appropriate, when a lossless image might be appropriate, and what would you do when lossy compression is the appropriate choice, but lossless is the only option available? So that kind of gives you a little hint of what, where your questions could stem from. Think of a way that you can uniquely and creatively structure your question to maybe something that you've been always curious about, or maybe that you're still confused about but want to question and then research to answer. So talk about these 3 points. Create a question based on these 3 points, or one of the three points here, and answer appropriately. And don't forget, you guys need to answer this substantially, so 150 words plus, 1 APA citation and reference at least, and then also responding to 2 other peer posts with at least 50 plus words. Okay, so here's all the information here. Now, I just went to, I posted an announcement yesterday, I believe, about lossless images. So if you want to take a look at that, I kind of went through what lossless is, but you guys definitely should research that as well. The resources in our classroom also help kind of explain this in detail. So hopefully you guys don't have any questions about that. Research. When would it be appropriate to use either or? Look up some examples. Do your research. Gather some information, and then, have a question. Maybe that'll bring up a question for you to want to ask. All right, let me know if you have any questions about that. And let me go back to home here. And we'll start. You guys have a discussion for week 4. You have an assignment. That's what we're going to go over now. It's your final campaign assignment. The assessment is actually a quiz. Let me click on that real quick. So you guys will be taking a quiz, and this quiz will be based on the readings of videos that you've completed so far. There are 11 questions, and it is not timed. You just kind of take your time on each one of these, but the objectives covered are differentiate between additive and subtractive color models, differentiate between spot, Pantone, RGB, and CMYK color models, so kind of understand the differences and what they are, define primary, secondary, and tertiary colors, define tint, tones, and shades of color, Identify the following color schemes: complementary, triadic, analogous, split complementary, and monochromatic, so make sure you know the differences. Identify and apply correct resolution for print output, how to do so. Discuss the role plays and the big four design principles, so CRAP, we talked about that just now. Distinguish the similarities and differences between raster images and vector graphics, we talked about that last week. Set up margins, gutters, and bleeds in a document for correct prepress output, and then create a package print ready prepress file. Now that doesn't mean that you're going to be creating a package file for this assessment quiz, but how to. So you kind of keep that in mind. All right, so take that quiz when you are ready. And don't forget the career integration section as well. That's could be a easy 15 points added to your score, based upon how you answer. So, make sure you're answering substantially to that. It's kind of like a reflection part of your process. And, it's important to reflect upon what you've learned in this class, just like it is when you're a designer reflecting upon a project that you just completed, because we get to understand, where we were and where we are now, what we've learned, maybe what we didn't learn, maybe what we need to change, thinking wise or process wise. So it's good to kind of reassess yourself and analyze what you've learned and maybe what you can do better and what you can help grow within your abilities to be more successful. Okay, so with that being said, let's go into your assignment 4 and take a look at what is needed there. It's a lot of stuff going on, so try not to be overwhelmed, just step by step. And I'm actually going to read through this background because I think this is, it's a lot, but I think it's important before the prompt to go over here. Okay. So you're going to identify and determine the appropriate use of lossy and lossless compression. So again, you're going to kind of keep this in mind when you're creating your files. So we've covered a lot of ground this mod. You've learned about color theory, the role that color plays in design, and several color schemes. You've learned about how to technically put files together and convert files to colors that the press can actually use. There's another important aspect when it comes to saving files, and that is in respect to lossy and lossless compression. In this week's discussion, you discovered the differences between lossy and lossless compression. Now we will learn what file types are appropriate for your print files. Most image stock houses where you have to pay to download high quality images will provide a TIFF, tagged in image format, file with LZW compression. The reason LZW compression is used is it will have almost all of the data and information, the pixels in it, when the professional photographer took the image. Adding a lossless compression to TIFF files called LZW does make a file a bit smaller for a faster download, but in today's high-speed internet connections, it's not that much of an issue anymore. So this brings us to what you should do if you were given a JPEG. Just because it's a JPEG doesn't mean you can't use it for print, but you need to know its source. Most non-professional cameras will save what you take as a JPEG, and that's fine, but make sure you always keep those files in a folder where you can open them once and immediately do a save as and save them as a new file to work with. Best practice on this is saving immediately to a TIFF or PSD file. When should you use a PSD, which is Photoshop native document file? If you have an object or area masked and you need to have the background show when placed in InDesign or Illustrator. PSD files are much larger because of the layers, but this is the most common format we can use. You can use transparency in print. Yes, GIF and PNG files allow transparency, but they do not have a CMYK color space option so the printer will have to convert them and make it unexpected color shift. But more importantly, their quality is limited. So as you prepare for your assignment, as if this is the real deal, sending final files to a printer, keep in mind all of your photos must be saved as a TIFF or a PSD file along the correct resolution and scaling. Okay, so the prompt. This assignment is to prepare you for the correct way to send files to printers. The design revisions you receive from your instructor would be what a client may tell you. So these must be fixed before sending it to press, or it will be very expensive reprint for the designer. Look at your instructor's feedback on the technical issues and fix anything that was noticed. Learning what needs to be sent to the printer correctly the first time will save you time and money. If your files are not set up correctly, the printer can fix them, but they will charge you and it will be in addition to the bid, so you will have to pay for those fixes, not your client. You must incorporate design and technical revisions per your instructor feedback on the following projects from week 2. So you'll be adjusting your poster from week 2. You'll be revising, looking at your brochure from week 3 and your signage. Poster, brochure, and signage. Pre-press requirements, poster and brochure. All images converted to the correct color model. All images placed at correct resolution for print. Images not scaled above or below industry standard. That was the 80% and 120% that was listed in there. All images saved with the appropriate file type. Bleeds correctly implemented. Margins and gutters properly positioned. So that's kind of like a nice checklist. You can kind of check off there once you go through and look at your files again. Signage, logo and text colors correctly set for spot color output. Aspect ratio for enlarging is correct. All elements are properly created to be fully scalable for enlargement. Okay, so make sure that that's a little bit more of a simple design, so it shouldn't be too bad. Submission requirements, poster and brochure. Create a package for print file out of InDesign. Poster and brochure. Create a press quality PDF. So you're going to be doing these individually, just like you did for your submission evaluation. Signage, native Illustrator file and a press quality PDF is needed. Create a folder and you can name it as such. Excuse me, I got like the case of the yawns here, I apologize. So you're gonna name it as such, and then you're gonna place all the files from 1 to 3 that are listed above into the folder you created in step 4. You're gonna zip the folder and upload the zipped file. So you should have one folder that you're submitting, not a whole bunch. If the zipped is too large for Canvas to upload, place the PDF into the package folder and zip each one separately. The sign would have the PDF and AI compressed together. The name would be changed to, and then you can name it appropriately. Create web-friendly JPEGs of your campaign and upload them to the Behance site. So this is after you kind of completed from 1 to 6. Email your FPA with a link to the project and CC me, your instructor. Okay, so you're gonna save your pieces out as JPEGs and then upload them to your Behance site. That's after everything that we just talked about. Best practice, keep all native files you use to create the projects in this course for possible revisions after this course is ended. The zipped folder of your final version from the packaged file InDesign creates is good. You will need them for your portfolio or capstone classes. Okay. If you have any questions about that, let me know. It's a lot of information. I would just go and print this out or do a screenshot and just check mark this as far as your pre-press goes and your submission requirements. Go step by step. Go to do your poster first. Check that out. So let me go grab all of that so that we can talk about this here in detail. So the poster that you guys worked on. Open the okay, so I'm going to share my desktop here, share screen. All right, now I'm opening up my poster, but the one thing I wanted to show you before I go into this in detail here, make sure your links folder is up. If it's not, go up to Window, choose Links. Remember how I told you I was going to show you how to fix any unlinked images, because I'm working on another computer that I was doing the demo on earlier, this from last week, and I'm opening this file up for the first time on this computer. It's telling me here there's a missing link and I need to relink it, and that's this kayak image. So that's where you will look. If you have a question mark, big red question mark, you'll know that you need to fix this, okay? So what you're going to do is you're just going to click on it, and you have these options down here. One is to relink from the CC libraries, relink, opt, click to relink all images, and then you also have go to link. I'm going to click relink, and then I'm going to go to my folder. I think it was week 2 that I did the demo on here, assignment 2. And it's telling me up here where it's at. So you can see locate, it's on my hard drive, and what it's called. So I just need to go into images. Right? I don't know where it's at now. Maybe I didn't save it in there. Kayak photos. That's funny. I guess I saved that on my computer, but I forgot to save it into my folder. So this is a good lesson for you guys in terms of, you know, because I'm switching from my other computer. I didn't, obviously, I guess I had it on my desktop and did save it over. But what you would do is you would click on this relink, just exactly what I showed you. Kind of a bad way to show you, but click on this link. I'm in the middle of moving, so everything's chaotic. You'll go to the folder or wherever you have that image at. It should be in this folder, although I didn't save it into there. You'll select that image and click open, and it should relink. I can't show this now because my image just so happens to be on my other computer and I didn't save it over yet to my hard drive. So, but that little question mark will go away and you won't have any other warnings happening, okay? So make sure that you're checking that out. Sorry that I kind of screwed that up, but just the way it goes. I had all my files on my computer desktop. All right, so I think the last time we talked, we were kind of trying to figure out a good way to import this, and I was showing you how to import, save it out as a PNG file in Illustrator. The only problem with that is it's coming in as a RGB image, not CMYK. So what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to open up Photoshop. You're going to have to open up your logo file in there. Okay, so let's pick, let's see here, what's, trying to pick the one that has color in it, but there we go. So you're going to pick the AI file and open it up in Photoshop. And what you're going to do is you're going to make sure it's 300 pixels per inch. Okay. Everything else should be okay just because it's, there's RGB color. We're going to convert this to CMYK. So we click OK. All right. And then when you're ready to export, oops. When you go export as, sorry, click on here. Cancel that. Go back. We're going to do a save as, and you're going to go TIFF. And let's put this on the desktop so I know where it's going. You can do LZW, that's fine. Everything else, I'm on a Mac, so I want to choose that. Save transparency. The only thing is this might actually come in as a color block. So I'll show you how to fix that. And I'll show you here what I'm talking about. So if you were to place this image in again, this logo, and now it's CMYK, but you're going to get a color block most likely behind it. Oh, it's not coming in. Good. Awesome. I thought it was going to. Just choose transparency like I did, and then you shouldn't have a problem with it being transparent. But now this is CMYK. See how it's in the links here, logo.tiff. It's telling you it's in a TIFF format, CMYK. Okay. So that's how you would do that. So swap out your ping files. Most of you know that you cannot convert that to CMYK. It's just the nature of the file. So you'll need to do those steps in order to, accurately output your files here. I'm actually going to put like a drop shadow on this because it's a little hard to see. All right. Let me change that real quick here. It's a little. There we go. A little easier to see like that. Okay, so you can see I don't have any spot colors in here. I have all CMYK, which is good. So I can go ahead and save that. Oops, that's my brochure. I would just fix that link that's missing, which I don't have on my computer, so I apologize. It's going to be an issue. When you're ready to package, go File, Package. And again, it's going to tell you if you have any linked images that are not linking, it's going to tell you right here. And right here is the exclamation point. So it's telling me, hey, you have an image that's not, we don't know where it's at. It needs to be linked. So hopefully you won't have that, that on yours as well as far as that goes. Here's all the fonts in your package that will go in there. There's your images. You can see it says missing for this one. You can relink it here too if you have any issues. Here's your color and inks, print settings, and external plugins. We're just going to hit package. You could put all this in here, but you don't have to for this project. Just make sure all of this is check marks, include PDF, and make sure that this says press quality. So include PDF, print, press quality. Everything looks good. I'll rename this package. Okay, now it's telling me I have missing links, but that's okay. Okay, the next thing is your brochure. So change anything that needs to be changed. And again, you're going to have to go in and change this logo if you placed in a ping file. Go ahead and do exactly what I showed you before, so you don't have that color issue going on. All of these images need to be relinked. And I don't think I saved these either. So, yeah, so those weren't saved over. But, make sure you don't have these question marks like I do here. Now, the logo is showing as color space RGB. Make sure you're saving it out again in Photoshop so that, that's not happening. When you're ready to save, just take a look at your color settings up here and kind of go through the steps necessary to make sure you have everything right. And then again, go to, when you're ready, go to File, Package, and go through those steps. Now I have some stuff that I need to still correct. I'm just going to do this for purposes of press quality, of getting this for demonstration purposes. Package. Okay. And then, I don't know if I actually have the last one, so you can bear with me here. Assessment. Let me open up a student assignment here. Oh, I don't have an actual file. The signage piece, you'll do the same thing. Make sure your two colors, which I don't have here to show you because it's on my other computer. Make sure that you're converting them from spot to CMYK, just as we showed in the slides on how to do that before you package the signage as well. Okay, so with that being said, let's go to just my desktop here. I can see my mess going on. So you should essentially have 3 folders. So you'll have assignment 2, assignment 3, and then assessment 3, which is your signage. I don't have that because I wasn't able to package it. I don't have it on my computer. So you should have 3 folders. And then what you're going to do is just select those 3. And you can go up to File and compress 2 items. You can rename this maybe just your first and last name. As long as you have the file folders named appropriately, the zipped name can be very simple. It could just be your last name.zip. So this will be the 3 folders that you zipped in here, and this is the only thing that you need to submit. Okay, so hopefully that's pretty clear. I don't think that should be a big problem for you guys, as long as you listen to this lecture and understand, what it is to do. Now, there's another part of this. So we just went through, make sure, you're also checking out the resolution, all of the bleeds are good, spot colors converted. And then you'll want to, after you zip and upload, you're going to create the web portion of this. So web-friendly JPEGs of your campaign pieces and upload them to the Behance site. And then you're going to email your FPA with a link to the project and CC me. Okay, so let me know if you have any questions about that, but it's basically you're just kind of emailing your advisor the link to the website, Behance site, and then you're going to CC, so carbon copy me on that so that I get it as well. All right, so what you're going to do is each piece, you're going to open it up. Say you're going to do this one. You're going to go File, Export. Save to the desktop. You can create a folder if you want. But where it says Format, you want to change to JPEG. Click Save. You want all pages. You don't want spreads for this one. Maximum quality is fine. Resolution 300. Color space RGB. You can keep it at RGB because we're going to be showing this on a website, so that's fine. And click Export. Now, when you do that, I exported on my desktop. You'll see hopefully two JPEGs here of your brochure. You might want to put them in a folder and name it Web or something like that. Okay, the next thing is you would do your brochure. You would do your poster. So again, export, JPEG, save. One page, everything else looks good. Okay, so a JPEG, and that's saved to the desktop. And then the next one, which I won't be able to show you because I don't have the original file on this computer since I switched computers, will be your signage. So that'll be an extra JPEG. So it'll be 4 JPEGs all together. Okay. Then, if you don't have an account, you'll sign up for Behance. Behance is behance.net. This is my Behance page. Definitely a great website to start for your projects. You're going to create a project. Once you do sign up or sign in, create a project. It's going to tell you it's loading the project editor. It's pretty easy to use for sure. Okay, then you can upload files here. Just click upload. Go find your files that you just created. And then you can do like a command shift. The 4 files, I only have 3 though, but you'll have 4 to open. And they should be JPEGs. And then they'll show up here in your, this looks pixelated. Oh, this looks pixelated just because I have a missing link. And that's a good way to show you kind of what that would look like if you did have a missing image link and you didn't link them. This is how it would look. So that's definitely a bad thing. So if I were to relink this, this would be very sharp looking. You should have all your saved pieces in there. And you're going to click save, and then you have the option to publish, show like that as the wallpaper. You can name it the class number, and then maybe add campaign or brand identity campaign or something like that. And then, kind of based on what you want to see, you're going to crop and continue. Basic information, you can add, you can add stuff here. It would just be very general if you want it. And hit publish. So if you want to look at it, you'll go to your site here, your actual page. And why is this showing? There we go. You can click on it and you can see your project here. You can always edit it. You can edit the project here if it's something that you change something of. You can also delete it. I'll show you how to delete it here. So like, let's say you just want to start completely over from scratch. Just go right to your main page here and go up to the little pen and just hit delete. Okay? But that's how you would do it. It's very easy and very simple. Once you get a link, and I probably shouldn't have edited or shouldn't have stopped that. Let me pretend like this is our project. What you're going to do is you're going to share this project by either clicking up here and copying this link, or you're going to hit, there's a way to email, but I guess you can't. I have to sign in here. Yeah, I would just copy this link up here. This is the link that you'll select all, so Command A and then Command C, and you'll email this link to your advisor and then copy me on it. Just make sure that you're testing this link out. So let me close out and let me do a new page here. I'm going to paste it right up here in my address bar. Just do Command V, pasting that link and see what happens. See what comes up here. And this should be your project. Shouldn't be Modal 3. Okay, it looks like it works. Okay, so that is the number 7 of your listed things to do. That's the last thing that you want to do. So make sure that you're going through your pieces first, your poster, brochure, and signage, and taking care of the details in there. It's super, super, super important. just because we want to make sure everything's ready to go, print ready. You're paying attention to the details here. Hold on one second, I'm kind of lost my place. There we go. And then, you know, if you have the ping files in there, you'll want to do what I just did with Photoshop to convert them to CMYK. I apologize ahead of time. Sometimes I just get into that mode of saving out as a ping file, and that's a bad habit to be in, to show you guys, you know, how to correctly place that in there. I sometimes just do that very quickly just to show the transparency behind it. All right, so just kind of make sure you're preparing your document for print. Pay attention to the details here. Just a little review here. This is kind of what you'll be doing. All right. Student critique. Remember, give constructive feedback. One way to give feedback is to use the sandwich method. I think what I'm going to do is maybe open up, because you guys should be critiquing each other's work at this point. In week 4, I will open up a critique room area where you guys can post maybe your JPEGs, PDF of your work, maybe, and have each other give each other feedback. So one way to give feedback is to use the sandwich method. You start off by focusing on the strengths that you like about the item in question. Then you provide the criticism, things you don't like, maybe things that don't work, maybe not necessarily what you don't like, but areas of improvement. So, you know, instead of being subjective, saying, oh, I don't like this color, it's not my favorite color, instead saying, I think that this other color will work best for this because, and be more objective about it. Lastly, you round off the feedback with a reiteration of the positive comments you gave at the beginning and the positive results that can be expected if the criticism is acted upon. Remember, if you are providing criticism, you should also provide an idea for improvement. So, actually, before, let's see here if I can add that to that and show you in a second here the form that I'm going to add to. Let me go to pages here. Maybe that's where I need to be. I'm going to be adding this extra critique forum. That's what I'm looking at. So you guys can't see what I'm doing here, but I was hoping to do this quickly so I can show you guys. All right, here we go. Got it. Give me 1 second. All right, there we go. Let me publish it so you guys can see. And I'm going to move it up after the assignment. There we go. Okay. So just so you see what I'm doing here, I added in week 4, I added right after your assignment 4, when you're in there and looking at the details, you'll have a student feedback forum. So let me show you. I'll click on the assignment 4 first. So you'll be in here and doing your work, do. You go to the next button at the very bottom. This is student feedback. So if you want to, click in there, and you know, always check in there, even if you're not posting to the critique. This is not mandatory. It's just a great benefit for you guys to share your work and get extra feedback on it. So you'll say, hi, you know, here is my works thus far. Any feedback would be appreciated, or something like that. Or maybe you're writing in there kind of your design choices and why you did what you did, and then your name. And then what you'll do is you can either attach You can either attach a PDF or a JPEG, a PDF, or you can embed your JPEGs in there as well. And then you'll just post reply, and then people will see that and they'll be able to look at it, and then they can respond to your work. So it's a great way to get some extra feedback. So I just threw that in there for you guys to play around with if you want to. But like I said, if you're not posting to that, if you're not planning to post to the critique board your work to get extra feedback, just check in there, see if anybody else did, so that if they're asking for your feedback, you can provide them with that. Okay, let's go back here. So that's pretty much it. But when you email that link, that Behance link, make sure you just paste that link into the email to your advisor, and then you can carbon copy, so CC me on that, so that I know that you did that, because that will be part of your grade. So let's click on the assignment again. I'll show you here real quick. In the rubrics, right here, Behance submission is in there, and just make sure you're reading through all of these. This is a great way to start your project, is by reading through the rubric, so you know what you need to have done. And this is basically what I'm going to be cross-checking your evaluation on. Okay, so it's good to kind of make sure that you're hitting upon all those points before going forward. Okay, so hopefully that kind of clarifies a lot of things. Seems like a lot going on here, but if you're pretty well off on all of your projects, it won't take you very long to get this all organized, hopefully. So, don't let this kind of freak you out when you read through this. It could go definitely quicker if you have all of your files ready to go and not much to change going forward. All right, well, this is where I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to end it a little early today. And, thank you again for everyone in this class for your time. And we will be meeting tomorrow. I'm going to give you, it might be a little earlier than 6 to 8 Mountain Time. It might be a little earlier than that. So I will get back to you on that. I'll post an announcement so you guys are aware of that. And that's for the multi-session. If you have any questions, want to go over anything from the last 4 weeks class, come on in. Again, I'll post those new hours. Shouldn't be too drastically different than what we usually meet at, but it'll be a little earlier, I believe. So come on in and meet me in there if you need to. I'll be in there for 2 hours, just hanging out, and feel free to come in. And also, you guys have a wonderful end of this week, and strong. And I'm looking forward to see your work. All right, have a great day.